It is noon on Tuesday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm excited about today because we are going to be talking about injuries. And this is the last session, unfortunately, about injuries. And it's been quite a journey over the last 4 weeks to talk about the injury process. And today's topic is actually going to be about, let's bring it up here. Let's see if I can bring it here. So, how to save your season with an injury. And there we go. All right. So, what's interesting about this one is the journey. I've kind of taken us from the very beginning of what causes injuries. And let me go right over to, well, actually, first, let's start with the question of the day. People are actually running on a treadmill in the winter. And now that spring is right around the corner, how many of you are going to switch from treadmill running to actually road running? And are you going to do that um, this spring? Do you have a specific time in your mind? Or are you just a treadmill runner? Let me know below. So that's the question of the day. Are you going to be running on a treadmill in spring? And more specifically, did you run on a treadmill in the winter? And if you have any questions on transitioning from going from a treadmill to road running or from road running to treadmill running, let me know. And maybe I'll do a future video on it if there's enough interest in that topic. Now, what I was going to say is going through the 3 previous weeks, we talked about one, and I kind of did it in progression. Number one was talking about the 6 main causes of an injury. So, what are they? What causes injuries? So, I went over the main 6 topics. In the comments or the description of this video, I have links to each of these. So, go ahead and check those out. Later on, when this is being republished on YouTube, I'll put the links up there as well so you can click on them. The once we talked about those 6 main causes, then we talked about what was what could we do to prevent them. So now that we knew what the 6 injuries were, what can we do to prevent them? Then after we talked about preventing the injuries, I started then talking about what do we do if we're injured. So what do we do if we're injured before we run, and what do we do during our run if we get injured, and how to manage an injury. This session is mainly about and specifically about, okay, we are injured. We maybe ignored the signs or not, whatever, things happen. We could twist an ankle, it has nothing to do with the 6 main causes. But for whatever reason, we are now injured. We are taking care of ourselves. And I kind of mentioned this in the last video I did, which is what what do we do? We should have an IRP, and I was trying to stumble upon what an IRP, and that's an injury running plan, and that's mainly what this video is about: is having an injury running plan, because I can tell you this has saved me so many times, and specifically back in 2020 around, I think it was June, May or June, I got injured. I pulled a hamstring muscle. And by the time it took me 3 months. So if you can imagine, July, all of July, August, September. No, I'll take that back. It was June. So I had all of June, July, and August, well, I was injured. Then I had September and October to run my half marathon, and I was trying to hit a new record or a new personal best for myself. And so I only had 2 months, but And long story short, I ended up still running a personal best with only 2 months of training and 3 months of injury. And what saved me was an IRP, an injury running plan. So, an injury running plan, in my opinion, you should have even before you're injured. So, just like knowing the six causes and preventing them, we want to have a plan just in case we are injured. And what do I mean by that? Meaning when I go and sit down for my year and I plan my year, and this can go for anybody who's grabbing a plan out there out of from the website. Different people have published free plans and everything. Whatever it is that you do, I will sit down, whatever I grab, I will sit down and I will create an injury running plan. My injury running plan's pretty straightforward. I know it inside and out because I coach myself. So I automatically have one. But I reassess if I'm doing a half marathon versus a 5K, I have a different IRP or an injury running plan. If I'm in different parts of my season, I'll have a different injury running plan. Now, you don't have to get that complicated. For me, it's very second nature because I've been doing it. But I'm going to talk about specifically where you want to still perform and not throw away your whole season. Let's say you're 3 months or 2 months into your training and you're deep into it and you have that race that you want to still run. An IRP will either help you get there as quickly as possible, if it's even possible, or it will tell you that it's not possible, or get you back on track fairly quickly and not to cause so much damage to your all the work that you've done and throwing it away and having to start over. So an injury running plan is that fine line that takes you from an injury to not getting injured and not being too relaxed and saying, "Oh, I'm injured, I give up." But it's not like, "Oh, I'm injured, I have a race, I'm going to plow through this anyways," and end up injuring yourself even more to the point where you can even do permanent damage or really bad damage. So that's what an IRP is. It's that fine line, finding that fine line between keeping you as physically fit all the way through the injury and healing process to uh, to being able to jump right back into it versus being able to let off the gas and just saying, okay, I've hit that point of no return, so I have to stop, and unfortunately my season is gonna end. That's a possibility. You can have an IRP during an injury. Unfortunately, it's a little bit it's not too late at this point to have an IRP or to start thinking about an IRP. But for me, having getting an injury and then trying to decide what I'm going to do kind of causes stress. Because at that moment, all you're focused on is your injury. And if you have a lingering race out there, you're gonna be like, okay, how fast can I get back to it? And you may make decisions that may not help you and may distract you or hinder you, I should say, from reaching your ultimate goal of that race. And after an injury. So now you're injured. And what I mean by after an injury is not just right after. What I mean is you've had your injury for a while and you're not getting better. And now you decide to implement an IRP. It can still help for sure because it can help in any different scenario, but we really would rather have that plan in place while we are um, while we're planning our season. And the other thing about an IRP, for me, it's all about time. I've mentioned this before. I train by time. When I'm injured, I also, if some athlete is injured, I try to coach them versus time at this point. I throw out the distance, I focus on time, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Well, maybe I'll explain now. So, time versus distance. I kind of talked about this in the previous video, is that, you know, if you're injured, to run 5 miles may take you an hour. Whereas if on a typical average day, if your 5 miles takes you, say, 40 minutes or 45 minutes, why work an hour? You're only stressing out that injury even further. So when I start getting into an IRP and I start explaining it, it's all about time, because that time will help you keep that regular exercise. Your body's used to, let's say, running 40 minutes. Let's exercise it for 40 minutes if we can, not exercise it for an hour, not exercise it for less, unless we need to do less. And again, that's where an IRP comes in, because it will help you determine how much is too much and how much is too little. But that really comes into an internal um, self evaluation. So, the first thing I always talk about for evaluating where an IRP is an evaluation tool. So it says, okay, I am injured. So where am I in my injury? And this is not only a physical um, understanding, but it's a mental understanding as well. And the more experience you have in running, the more you'll understand where this needle belongs. And there are three phases to all running, in my opinion. There's, well, four, I guess. There's resting, where you're completely doing, excuse me, where you're completely doing nothing. There's a walking period, and then there's a walk run period, and then there's actual running. So there's four phases to an IRP, and you need to know which one you're in. And this needs to be really, really understood, because again, an IRP is that fine needle, and you want to find out where you belong. So let's say that looking at the walking, well, yeah, let's say we look at walking right here. If you have an injury, and you should be thinking to yourself, and these are steps, meaning step one, in this case, what you're seeing here is walk 1 minute. And step two, walk 2 minutes. Step three, walk 4 minutes. Now, if I'm injured, when I have an IRP, I kind of go up the scale. Can I walk 1 minute? Do I feel like I can walk 1 minute and not be injured? Can I walk 2 minutes, walk 4 minutes? And you have to kind of figure out where you are in that scale. Now, these scales represent up in the 32, 64, 128. For me personally, how long does it take for me to go out there and do a run? So maybe I'm out there for 32 minutes, and it's kind of rounded up because I wanted to do it in increments of multiples. So like one, two doubled is four, four doubled is eight, eight doubled is 16. So these aren't the exact times, but I kind of say to myself, okay, I'm injured. Can I walk 64 minutes? Because that's typically what I would run is 60 minutes, but in this case, 64. Do I feel like I can walk 64 minutes? If I feel like I cannot walk 64 minutes, do I feel like I can walk 8? Do I feel like I can walk 2? If my feeling is that I can't even walk 1 minute, then I'm resting. And let's say that on the flip side, I decide that I can rest or walk for 8 minutes. And I go out there and walk 8 minutes. If I feel really good, there's no pain, then I'm going to up it to the 16. If I feel a little pain, then I may drop it. Or if the pain is manageable, meaning it doesn't get worse, it's not getting better, I may push it depending on where I am in my season. I may push it to see what the next day gives me. Can I walk 8 minutes again? If I still feel pain, and I usually give it a week, 1 week, I say after 1 week, if I'm walking, let's say 8 minutes, I'm not feeling any better, I'm going to drop it down to maybe 4, even 2, and then try to walk that for 1 week. If I'm good there, then I'm going to move up the scale. So do you see how that works? So I'm either walking and improving my walking, or I'm going backwards to the point where I'm saying, okay, walking, I can't even walk without pain. So now I have to rest. And I'm resting. And after a week, if I rest and I still can't even walk 1 minute and I haven't gone to the doctors, this is the time that you need to call the doctor and set up an appointment, because this is probably, and the IRP is probably telling you at this point, there's more to this than what you originally thought. And you want to get medical attention. Now go to the other side. You keep increasing, and then you get to the walking. Before we do that though, do you have a personal IRP? Meaning, do you have something already pre-planned as if you get injured? Maybe you do, maybe it's not as formal as the process I'm laying out here. But maybe you have something that, yeah, if I get injured, I just go walking. And if I can't walk, I just sit down. The end of the story. That's okay. I just want to know if you have a personal IRP of some sorts, or that something you would call an IRP. If you do, leave a comment below. Let me know. All right. Now here's a walk run. Now for the walk run, it's a little bit different. So the first number here, if you can, you see like in step 1, you have a 1, a line, and a 1. That means walk is on the left side, run is on the right side. And these are still in minutes. So the left side says walk 1 minute. The right side means run for 1 minute. And what you'll do is, let's say that, again, going back to 32 minutes, I run 32 minutes for my average day, say. And I want to get up to that. So what I want to do is walk 1 minute, run 1 minute, walk 1 minute, run 1 minute. And I'll do that for 30 minutes, because that's where I'm really at, is 30 minutes. So if I can't do that, then I will drop down to the walking. If I can't walk, run for 1 minute, then I'm going to drop down to the walking. So if you're walking and you get up to the walk, run, now you have to assess where you're at the walk, run position. And if walk, run is easy and you're feeling good, maybe I'll jump up to walk 1 minute, or step 2, where I'll walk 1 minute, run 2 minutes. And I'll keep repeating that pattern for 30 minutes. Walk 1 minute, run 2 minutes. Walk 1 minute, run 2 minutes. And I'll do that 10 times to get a total of 30 minutes. Now, you don't have to go step 1 to step 2 to step 3. Maybe you can step from step 1 to step 3, or step 1 to step 4. I put these steps in here as sort of a guideline to, again, we're trying to find that needle. Where are we? Can I go up to this level? Do I need to drop down to this level? For me, in an IRP, I already have my steps picked out. So if I feel like I'm in a walk run situation, I will always start with step 1 and see how I feel. And if I'm feeling good, I will probably jump up to step 3. And if I'm feeling good after that, I may jump up to step 4, and then step 5, and then step 6, where I'm back to where I'm walking 1 minute, but running 32 minutes. And at this point, I can just run. So you see how an IRP works. You have to dig down deep and really assess yourself realistically and say, where on this scale am I? And if you get this wrong, you'll either take too long to get up to scale, which means it takes you longer to get back to running where you were. And if you're too aggressive, you could cause more injury and end up going further down in the scale. The next thing that needs to take into consideration is the workouts. So typically, I do 2 workouts, speed workouts, which are on Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays and Fridays are my speed workouts. And Thursday is depending on where I am in my plan, my seasonal plan. Remember, I have seven phases of my season. So depending on where I am in my phase, I will have different workouts on uh, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Let's say I'm in my base period where I'm doing actual hill workouts, and those are on Fridays. So when I do my hill workout on Friday, obviously I'm injured and I can't run the workout like I want to. That doesn't mean that if I'm in the walk phase, I still can't do the hills. So whatever I would have planned for a hill day on that specific day for a hill workout, maybe I'm not running it as fast as I want to be, but I'm walking it. Uh, so I'm still doing hill repeats, but I'm doing it walking. Or let's say I'm in the walk run phase. I may not run the full thing, but maybe going up and down the hill repeats, I'm doing the walk run up and down it. I'm still not going fast. I'm still not going fast. And then the second part is once I get crossed, once I get to the running period, then I am cycling as fast as I can without getting injured through the different phases again. So I have a recovery, and I have a build phase, and I have a base phase. So once I come out of the walk run injury and I'm in the running mode, I can run the full time, then I'm working on my base. I'm quickly, as fast as I can, working on my base period to then jump back into the cycle of my normal routine to get back to where I want to be. And this is the exact plan. I started with walking, I moved to a walk run, I then ended up running. By the third month, I was in my running. And then it took me about 3 weeks of base training to get back to the speed that I wanted, giving me about 3 weeks of intense training to then go back into a taper in my final transit or final phase of training to then run the race and get my personal best in a half marathon. So an IRP works. It's very strategic, it's individualistic as everything else. And my um, suggestion is to create one of these. And I actually have a better video out there on injuries, and it's same thing, IRP. And you can go view that. I'll put the link in actually the link will be right here if you're rewatching this. And yeah, go watch it. I go into great detail, very specifics in different ways that you can do combinations of the walk runs, um, and I think you'll see that it's something you should have um, in your in your tool belt. The biggest thing I would have to say is um, an IRP. Maybe what I said was too difficult. Right now you're in injury mode and you're like, Angelo, that's too much. Okay, go back, watch this video or watch the other one in more in depth. Um, but the important thing is to keep active and try to walk. A lot of people will substitute biking and all that. I personally do not do that. I personally go right into walking. I don't go into bike riding unless I can't walk. In that case, I'm usually just resting. I'm not doing other things. Maybe I'll do like core exercises that don't use my legs or the injured areas, and I'll do other exercises to keep my body healthy. Um, but most of the cardio comes from legs, even biking, and where the body is so intricately connected. To me, I'm either walking or I'm resting for the most part. That's not to say that you that what I'm saying is right or wrong. It's just what I do personally. And if you cannot walk, then definitely go see a doctor. If you cannot walk, which is a basic human function, then you need to go see a doctor. And as always, I will say this over and over again, go with distance, then go with distance and keep your form, and then follow speed. So in when I'm moving up that scale and I get to the running, I'm focused on getting up to that point of the distance that I want to. Then once I've hit that point where I feel confident that I can get to the distance and not compromise my form, because remember, form is important or it could cause another injury, then I will then focus on my speed, which is my base period, where I'm picking up my speed and trying to get to my target resting running pace. So that's pretty much it right there. That's an IRP. So four different segments going from what causes injuries to how do we get back into our season. At this point, if you have any questions, please make sure to leave them in the comments so that I can either do a video on it or answer you directly. But yeah, next week, Tuesday, I will be going live again here on YouTube at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So set your calendars there or set a reminder and hit the notifications plus the subscription so that you get new videos that I'm doing. And please also, if there's anything I can do to improve this quality of either the video, the presentations, something to make your experience better, please let me know. I'm always open to learning and understanding better ways to give you the content in a way that resonates with you and helps you on your journey as a runner. And today's 28 minutes. Whew, I can't believe I spoke for that long, but I can at the same time. Um, so leave comments. Let me know what's going on out there in your world. I like to really understand what your life is like in your journey. So leave a comment below. Let me know. And guess what? Until next Tuesday, I will see you then.